If you have been following this YouTube channel for a while, you might have seen me talk about linear power supplies. And these are some of the linear power supplies that I personally own, and that is not nearly all of them. And if you've been following the channel for a good while, you might remember back to April 2018 when I upgraded the power supply in my Oppo 203 UHD Blu-ray player. I upgraded it to a linear power supply, and that was fun. And then maybe you'll remember back to May last year, May 2020, when I compared two different linear power supplies. That one there, the JCAT Optimo 3 Duo, with another one that you actually can't see here. And in all of these videos, I did sound demonstration comparisons. And why did I do this? Well, it was to try and demonstrate that power supply quality matters. It matters for digital circuits and it matters for digital sources. And if we look at the hi-fi market, today at the end of 2021, there are lots of music servers and music streamers that come with or have linear power supplies. Some of them offer linear power supplies as upgrades, or maybe just passionate individuals, are just adding linear power supplies to them anyway. And that's been great for the market because there now is lots of options, lots of linear power supplies available to buy at different price points and different quality levels, which is great because it means some manufacturers have been pushing for better quality. But the downside of pushing for better quality is that the price inevitably goes up. And behind me, I have the best linear power supply that I have experienced so far, the JCAT Optimo 3 Duo. And like I said, better comes with a price tag. So the Optimo 3 Duo costs €1,500, which is a big chunk of money, and that's far from the most expensive linear power supply available. But what if I told you there was a product that you could buy that would give you something around the performance of the Optimo 3 Duo at 1/4 of the cost? Would that be of interest? But what if I told you it was actually better than that, that you could use it with any of your existing power supplies? You could use it with an ATX computer power supply, or maybe one of your cheaper audiophile grade linear power supplies, and upgrade or improve its performance up to something around the Optimo 3 Duo's performance, again for 1/4 of the cost. The product I'm talking about is the JCAT Optimo Nano, or just the Nano for the rest of the video, and it's designed to be used with computer-based music servers, which obviously sounds like a very niche DIY project thing, except that definitely includes lots of products available on the market. And I think the name Nano is a little deceiving. You look at the photo on the JCAT website and you think Nano, therefore something tiny, for the price of €375, and maybe the maths don't compute, excuse the pun. But the Nano are not really nano sized. Yes, they are smallish, but they are much bigger than I expected, and quite substantial and heavy, with some pretty big Nishikon fine gold capacitors on them. And they are also exceptionally well manufactured in Poland, and they come with high quality cables that you specify when you buy one. And the Nano is a power filtering and buffering circuit with a very low impedance output that you connect in between devices. So basically you power it and it powers whatever you was powering before. And it's a really simple product to use. You have the input, which is a 4-pin male Molex connector, and the output, which is a 4-pin female Molex connector. And Molex is a standard computer connection for anyone who is not familiar. And I think ultimately JCAT have designed the Nano as a lower cost option for providing clean power for their XE and Femto USB network cards. But it's also designed to filter the power for SSD drives. I thought I would keep things simple and just insert both the Nanos that JCAT sent to me in between my 400-watt linear power supply, and I would use one Nano to power my Windows operating system SSD, which is an Apacer Industrial 64 gig, and the other Nano to power my music SSD, which is a 1TB Samsung Pro. And I will admit, this is overkill. I could have powered both SSD drives from one Nano. And I had two Nanos here, so if you got two, you're going to use them, right? And I did the installation during the review of some very, very high-end hi-fi components, the German Physics Emperor integrated amplifier, and the German Physics HRS 130 and Martin Parker Duo Diamond speakers. So some serious high-end gear. And I had planned to test the Nanos with a few other setups, but after a couple of weeks of listening to my system like this, I actually didn't want to change anything. I didn't want to take the Nanos out because I was just liking the sound of my hi-fi system like this, because it had more of that relaxed, more of that more tensions free sound. Of course, not totally tensions free, but more tensions free than it was before. And like I said, I just find this sound more gratifying, more pleasing to listen to, and I just prefer sound like that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to call the review a day there, put pen to paper as it were, because for me, that proved to me that JCAT's claims are true, that the nanos can take an audiophile, you know, in inverted commas, audiophile grade linear power supply and improve it and make it sound better. So that is, that was proved enough to me anyway. So subjectively, I found them to, improve the sound of my hi-fi system, really the sound of my music source. And the reason why that is important is because I think the source is, as good as it can get. It can't get any better. From the source, it can only degrade or get worse. And of course, I took the nanos back out again just to test this, but very quickly put them back in again just because I preferred the sound with them in. And it wasn't as if the sound of the system was terrible with them out. It just was maybe not as smooth, not quite as, not quite as nice to listen to. A little bit more crunchy, maybe a bit more tense, and just not as smooth and not as relaxing and not as gratifying to listen to. But there's no sound demos in this video, just purely because time constraints and there's a lot going on here right now. Who are the JCAT Optimo Nanos for? Well, if you're a computer music server DIY enthusiast like I am, well then the nanos are a potential no-brainer upgrade, or maybe an upgrade for a previous upgrade. And I say potential because obviously buying a dedicated high quality linear power supply like JCAT's Optimo or Initio power supplies, I'm sure will give you better results. Obviously depending on where you're plugging and what you're powering from them. But obviously better results costing a lot more money. So I see the nanos as a more cost-effective way of clean powering components within a music server, a computer-based music server. And I think this could be particularly useful maybe for people that are stepping into this hobby or the side of the hobby for the first time. Maybe they're looking at buying, JCAT's XC or Femto USB and network cards, thinking, wow, I now need to, provide clean power for them. Start looking at good quality linear power supplies, and all of a sudden things start to get really very expensive. So having a more cost-effective solution that can fit in line, that you can power from any power supply, an ATX one or a cheaper linear one, and improve the performance of both of those supplies, I think that's a really interesting product for a lot of people, again because of what it's offering for the money. And just to finish, because the nanos are 5 volt, because they are standard products that work with computers, like I mentioned, other products on the market, Inuos servers, Antipodes servers, these are all computer-based music servers, so maybe audiophiles could find use with JCAT's nanos, slotting in line in some of these products to maybe get improved or better performance. But before you do any of that, make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you're confident and comfortable working with computer hardware, and obviously you've opened boxes, mess around with things, potentials for warranty, avoiding warranties. So be careful, make sure you're confident and know what you're doing. In a similar vein, because they're 5 volts, I am wondering whether clever and crafty DIY audiophiles will make up some cables and use them to provide cleaner power to other things, maybe DACs or switches or USB reclockers or anything that takes 5 volt power. And there are a lot of components out there that sit around, computer music servers, improving sound for USB and all sorts of bits, that a lot of them use 5 volt power. I'm wondering with a little bit of trickery whether, audiophiles could find benefit with a JCAT Optimo Nano there too. For me personally, the thought or the idea of taking the nanos out of my music server now, that's just not really an option. I'm going to keep them for as long as possible, which is why they're not in this video. You can't see them anywhere around me. It's because they're in use. They're in use now. But there is one product on the horizon that's just been announced that would make me pull everything apart and rewire everything and essentially start the whole power cycle again. And that is JCAT's new Optimo S ATX linear power supply, which is the world's first fully linear ATX power supply. Fully ATX, that means a fully linear computer power supply, the world's first one. And that is a very interesting product, but again, it's very interesting, and the potential of such audio glory is very interesting, but look at the cost. The cost is very high, which is again why the nanos are really interesting, because it's a product that has the potential, I think, to give you champagne sound for lemonade money. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful and helpful. I appreciate it's about a very specific product in a slightly controversial area. So hopefully, the audiophiles that are interested in this can see past that. And if you're not, this is not your area, no need to leave any shitty comments because I'll just delete them anyway. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the review. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.